make no mistakes, cause he's perfect. Every step I take for his service. So every day I'm living according to his purpose.
I'm Marie Nelson, and welcome to According to His Purpose. I am so happy to have Monique Bryant, my guest today. Monique is the
Executive Director
all right now
for the Triangle Society.
Yes. Now, you're going to let everyone know exactly what the Triangle Society does.
Well, the Triangle Society is a private nonprofit. We founded it in 2017. And myself and my classmate from Cass Tech, Miss Terry Berry, we're class of 86, we co-founded, and we have 3 additional board members.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how we started, and our mission is to preserve the legacy of Cass Tech,
Okay.
along with supporting and providing resources to students.
Now, I know that there are a lot of things that happen with students that are getting ready to go to college. Number one, it could be funding. It could be several things, hardships that happen with families. And you have been called upon to help.
Exactly. And one of the things that for me as executive director, I guide from my experience at Cass Tech. Primarily coming from a background where I had a single parent home, 3 buses to get there, just leading from that. I had a lot of individuals in my neighborhood that helped support. Actually one of my neighbors drove me to college. And so when we are asked to do things, I can really relate.
Yes.
Because what we tend to think is that if you attend Cass Tech, there's a large base of alumni. And I initially heard, well, students don't need anything over there.
Wow.
But that's so untrue.
Okay.
That we have currently a student population of 2,500 plus.
Oh my goodness.
But when I was attending, it probably was close to 5 during those years.
Right.
So, you can never have too much with a large student body of that sort.
You get a lot of corporate sponsorships. That's huge. And I'm thinking that your organization has to be to others so heartfelt. It's like tugging on your heartstring. They cannot turn you down. So let's talk about some of the sponsors that you have had on board and that are still coming on board to support what you do.
Well, I first would have to just say we were blessed with Everett Cassidy, who was a former WDIV morning news anchor.
Yes.
He's originally from Chicago.
Okay.
But when he came to Detroit, he felt such a connection with Cass Tech, and he was given an honorary diploma.
Wow.
And I met him in 2016.
Okay.
And this just goes to show you when you talk about according to your purpose.
Yes.
I was doing an interview there with Rhonda Walker, and we just kind of spoke in passing. And then a few years later, he was visiting at Cass, and I spoke to him.
Okay.
And learned that he was into music and a lot of the things that he did. And he said, I just love Cass Tech. I said, well, anything I can do to, support you,
Yes.
I'm more than happy. So over the course of time, he had put out music, and I just was there to support. And then in 2018, he did another fundraiser for Cass Tech, and our relationship just really grew.
Right.
And he says, you know, I love what you and the Triangle Society do.
Yes.
And so he went out to breakfast with Terry and I mean, it was just like, you know, our big sister, younger brother kind of relationship. And it grew from there, and he really raised over $100,000 in three years for our organization.
That's amazing. And you know, you are in contact with some great iconic musicians. Now, let's talk about that.
So Cass, the background and the history of Cass was obviously, it was a school that prepared students for trade. But we became synonymous for music and art.
Okay.
And so again, I met a illustrious Cass technician by the name of Ralph Armstrong, who plays bass.
Yes.
And which is my favorite instrument.
Because your dad plays bass.
Correct.
He's a Motown musician, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So when Ralph and I met, it was through another event we were doing.
Okay.
And this was also in 2016. And he comes to the school. He works with the young budding musicians, and he buys instruments.
Okay.
And so that's how really we connected. And so through Everard's generous fundraising and donations, we bought 2 brand new sousaphones for the marching band.
Are you serious?
Ralph worked with us to get a customized drum set with Cass Tech on the front of it.
Amazing.
Right.
Amazing.
And a few guitars and bass.
Okay.
It was just a feeling that, you know, students, you know, they can take instruments home now. They can actually practice. And they were all in tears because these are things that, you know, used to be that you could rent or you had at school. We don't have instruments like that.
Okay.
You know, so you pretty much have to either rent or your parents have to purchase an instrument. But the most amazing thing that he does is that he usually works at Baker's on the weekends, and he does a few other gigs, but he includes the kids.
Yes.
So they actually get live musician training.
Yes.
Right out on the stage.
Because there's a jazz band at Cass Tech as well.
Right. The ensemble.
Okay.
And oh gosh, I mean, we've had Greg Fillingames, who is the musical director for Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
We've had Regina Carter, jazz artist. We have a wonderful harp and vocal ensemble that, I mean, is almost not 100 years old. Will be that in a few years. So many great musicians. It's just, I could go on and on.
Right.
You know, but obviously music is one of my passions.
Okay.
And Miss Berry, she was a harp and vocal girl.
Okay, got it.
And so that is our passion.
Right.
And that is where we see the greatest need with performing arts and of course athletics.
And you know, there were times where these young people were going off to college. You did. Oh my goodness. I'm really getting emotional here, okay? But you provided these young students with what? Bedding, laptops. Let our viewers know exactly the role the Triangle Society played in these young people's lives getting ready to further their education.
So this was, the Bridge program was a brainchild of Principal Lisa Phillips.
Love
been
her.
The president. Well, maybe she will be the president.
Yeah, never know.
But she's the current principal, and she's been there quite some time.
Yes.
But what she wanted to have an easier transition. Over at Cass, we garner a lot of scholarship money. Students get free rides.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, tuition is covered, but that doesn't mean that travel or, you know, just getting your college life off the ground.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that I really loved, because at the time that I graduated, my cousin was graduating from Michigan State, and she had an open house, and that was how I got a lot of my gifts.
Okay. Yes.
You know, going to college. So I totally understood that.
Yes.
So we had been able to, you know, we started probably with 3 or 4 students per year. And the students would submit an application, list some of the things that they needed, and you got to select based on their story and their application. And you tried to supply everything that, or what you could on their list. And the biggest thing that we loved to do was shop.
Absolutely.
So we had, you know, the refrigerators, microwaves. I always added like the special touch, because I knew that some of the basic things that as a college student, you always run out of detergent.
Roman noodles. Hello.
You need a roll of quarters.
Yes.
You know, start some of those things that, you know, you don't think about, because when you're at home, you usually
got
them.
them.
You got them.
Yeah.
So those were some of the things that we did, and then as time went on, we started raising more money.
Okay.
We would do what we call a Giving Day. Giving Tuesday began in May.
Okay.
As an extension of what is normally done in November.
Okay.
So we were able to really roll out to about 20 plus students one year. Then we have alumni who they give. We had a person, she graduated probably in the early 50s, 60s, and she had passed, and her daughter wanted to do something. She was in swim.
Okay.
And in lieu of flowers or anything, donations came to the organization. So we had like $1,500. So what we did was we divided the money up. So each swimmer that was a senior that year got $250 for in a gift card to shop.
Wow. That you know, you are doing some amazing things with the Triangle Society. You and Miss Berry. Let's talk about Legacy Week. This is huge for you. Yes.
So Legacy Week came about because one of the things that Terry and I were just talking about, when we went into research about the school, those were things that we didn't know.
Okay.
When we were there. So the school is always known as Cass Tech, but the land that the original Cass Tech was built on was donated by Lewis Cass.
Okay.
And it was a farmland, and it was a triangular piece of land. So that is where we get the name, the Triangle Society.
Yes.
But it was also the name of our yearbook. But we never knew that.
Wow.
So from there, we started discovering the history where Cass was founded on a 3rd floor in Cass Union High School. And it was based on the model, European model, to prepare students from high school to go directly out to work.
Wow.
And so at that time, there was like a 35% dropout rate in the city of Detroit.
Yeah.
So we started with, on the 3rd floor, the first graduating class was 110 students. And it just grew. And so those were some of the things that we learned that we needed to share with students. So we came up with Legacy Week, which gave the history of the school. It also shared with students, you know, the different individuals. Of course, we know all of the high profile individuals like Diana Ross, Lily Tomlin. But our background as technicians worldwide, we have multiple individuals that have been in business, that have gone on to be CEOs.
Yes. And I mean,
the political realm.
Cass technicians are everywhere.
And that's what I say. We're like a Visa card.
I like that one.
Right.
I like that one.
So students needed to learn that.
They do.
And the biggest thing about being a technician, well, you never know who you're sitting next to.
That's true. And speaking of that, there's a classmate. Well, not your actual classmate, but she's a volunteer for your organization. And was it her grandmother?
Yes. So Denise Ford, she's a class of 71.
Okay.
And we met her, and she was sharing her story. And I love hearing stories.
Right.
You know,
yes.
Her grandmother attended CAS, like in 1924, I believe it was.
My goodness.
But she's 5 generations in as a technician.
That's
her siblings, her children, and her grandchildren.
Right. Right.
So those are the stories that kind of led to Legacy Week. So we do, different events, and you get an opportunity to share stories.
Yes.
With the students. In my case, I am now a legacy parent. And aunt.
Yes, and you know what I really like about your organization is that every young person that you meet, you always tell them, I believe in excellence, in greatness. And it's not just about the building. It's about what you get out of that building. And you start molding these young people to forecast tech or any school, any education. Anywhere they want to go is what you start to mold in these young people. And I love that about your organization.
Well, it's really important now because and this was it used to be, we would say look to your left, look to your right.
Right.
Someone's not going to be here.
Right.
And at some point we thought, okay, we want everyone to be here.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves
Yes.
to have that CAS Tech
Right.
on their diploma.
Exactly.
So what we've challenged ourselves in doing is trying to prepare students, because now where you used to have just of course CAS was the exam school for quite some time. Then you had some other schools that came online. So, but when you're making a decision, it's just like going to college or getting a job. You want to have the background and make sure that this is the school that's a good fit for you.
Okay.
You also want to understand that you stand on the shoulders of others that came before you.
Absolutely.
And so when we say excellence, that is what we stand on. CAS Tech excellence.
And we want to be excellent,
that is our brand.
Yes.
So when we, engage students, they understand that we've been where they are. We've sat in similar seats.
Yes.
And so it's nothing that they can talk to us about that we are like, what? When they say, oh, well, it's too hard. It's not hard, but CAS Tech is when you want to go above and beyond.
Yes.
Absolutely. So everyone is smart in their own way. But do you want to go 110%?
Right.
Or do you want to go 85%?
Right.
Anything below 85, you're definitely not going to last at CAS Tech.
We don't want to be mediocre. That's my thing.
Right.
I never want to be mediocre. I want to always be up here because I can be.
Well, CAS will stretch you.
Stretch you right on out.
It stretches your horizons.
Yes.
And this is the other thing that the Triangle Society does so well with trying to do. Okay. There are over like 60 teams, organizations, and groups.
Yeah.
So there's something for everyone. If you can't find something that you're interested in outside of academics, you're not. You haven't looked hard enough.
Yeah.
And then if you do have something, we have students that became ambassadors.
Yeah.
They wanted to do CT conversations. So they produced that event for our Legacy Week in 2019. So we haven't come up with all of the things, but Legacy Week just incorporates everything that we're trying to teach our young people that attend CAS.
And you're using these young, beautiful, awesome students in your organization to do things in sports, run cameras, do interviews. The Triangle Society is doing it big. Okay, what's moving forward? What do we have to look forward to now?
Well, I think
in the new year,
the biggest thing that for us in the new year, we have a lot of potential partnerships and collaborations. You know, people have tapped us because we have a good working relationship with students and parents.
Yes.
You know, and parents, that's a very important piece. A lot of parents, they aren't familiar with how to navigate the process of having a student who is attending a exam school and really your student is being asked to do extreme things in terms of studying, different opportunities that, you know, they think, well, I don't have the financial, you know, backing to do. So that's where we talk about those resources and opportunities. With Harp and Vocal, they participated in the World Strides Festival in 2017. Swept the competition at Carnegie Hall. They went to Chicago last year, swept, and they've earned a place again in New York in the competition.
That's wonderful.
So those are things we, you know, we fund resources and opportunities. So that might be buses to get the students there.
That's right.
There's entry fees. We have a chess team. I'm a chess mom. Love my chess.
Love your chess.
And so these are things that the expense, and I know as a parent, you know, fundraising and sponsorships and donors, and we've been so fortunate. You know, our alumni that we've met, Reverend Sheffield with Dabo.
I was just going to mention him. He is one of your great supporters.
Absolutely.
Loves you, and he's a CAS technician.
Yes, he's a class of 72. He's taken both Miss Berry and I under his wing and mentorship. With running a nonprofit. He's raised over $20,000 for some of our athletic teams.
That's wonderful.
Just really scratching the surface. We're 7 years in, but there's so much more for us to do.
You've done all this work in 7 years.
Well, both of us have business backgrounds. And entertainment and just a multifaceted as individuals. So, but running a nonprofit is really having that passion to do for others. And Terry, her daughter, MJ, graduated from CAS in 23. She's now a second-time Legacy because she's attending FAMU where her mother attended.
Oh my goodness!
So
that's wonderful.
You know, these things that we're doing, it's not only for our children, but for all of the kids in the school. I say I don't just have one child, one nephew.
You auntie, honey.
So when I come to I'm Auntie Mo, you know, you know, I'm Missy T, for some of my alumni, and it's just one of those things that people have really pressed in to support volunteerism. You know, they say, well, what can I do? And a lot of times it's just showing up and being in place, being that ear to listen, encouraging students,
motivating,
and because again, when they talk to their parents or other kids from other schools, it's a different dynamic. You know, where when they say, oh, you know, I'm not getting this particular subject, you kind of you put yourself in their shoes, because I've been there.
You've been there.
I've had one summer school class in my life, and I was like, never ever again.
Got it.
You know, but You have to press in.
Yes.
You know, prayer.
Yes. Amen.
We pray for our students.
Right.
We pray for our leadership.
Yes.
Our teachers.
Yes.
They go above and beyond.
Right.
Most of the teachers who have been at Cass have been there for 10 years plus.
Yes.
My favorite teacher, Mr.
Mr. Potterella, the math teacher, correct?
Right. He taught from
Yeah.
1965 to 1992.
And he is he's a historian. Okay?
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I thank you so much, Miss Monique.
Thank you.
And the Triangle Society. And everything that you're doing to help these young people. God bless you. God keep you. And I applaud you.
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to have you back. Because I'm sure we have more to talk about.
Oh, I'm sure our students are making strides every day. They have a daily Cass Tech moment.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me on According to His Purpose. And as you see, Miss Monique walks in her purpose. How about you? Keep walking in your purpose, trusting God, and have that faith. See you soon.
Make no mistakes, cause he's perfect. Every step I take's for his service. So every day I'm living according to his